sometimes
you like warm them, like you warm them up.
I
like,
get them going under my armpits like this, like Mary Catherine Gallagher on Saturday Night Live. I get them going, and I go anyway. But some people don't let go; they just want to hold on your hand. So what I'll do is I'll shrink my hand out in size like this, and I'll go like this, and I'll make this noise. And the noise, in combination with me pulling back my hand, no one likes that. And I get out of it. I get out of it.
Yeah.
I should have been like a wrestler.
The awkward handshake technique. I love it.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Making Speed. No Alexander, Charles Cruz. Today on the show, we have none other. I don't ever say that, I guess. So none other than
a special guest.
We have a special guest, Miss Cristy Lee. Holler!
Hi, what's up, guys?
She is in her basement where she fell through a hole,
right?
Because she was remodeling a bathroom just above. It's a long story.
Well, that's what happens when you stand
tragic.
and you try to cut the floor out around yourself. You can fall through.
Yeah, you either cut off a toe or you sawzall a hole for yourself to fall through.
Yeah, Bugs Bunny would have been really proud of me. It was like very Looney Tunes. Yeah, it's like I tried to cut the hole around me, and I thought the wood would stay, but then it didn't, and I fell right through, and then it was
now
really
you can just put a fireman's pole there and just make it fun.
But
that's a great idea. Like easy access from my upstairs bathroom to the basement. You just
exactly.
Yeah, because the stairs aren't convenient. So
no.
Is your laundry room in the basement? Is your washer?
It is.
So you can just get out of the shower, slide down the pole, go get your clothes.
And then, maybe climb back up the pole. No, I feel like this is opening the door for,
Where are we going with this? I was keeping it classy.
It is.
She went the wrong way.
Great way to start this off, guys.
Right.
It's all right. But you were just in the hospital because of a bathroom remodeling incident, or was it an incident that occurred while remodeling the bathroom, but unrelated to a bathroom construction accident?
Yes. No relation whatsoever to anything with bathroom remodeling or the misuse of power tools or anything crazy. I mean, I know I joked about it on social media when I posted a picture of me laying in a hospital bed saying that when bathroom remods go wrong. But
that's what I saw. I was like, oh, no. She tried to take out her. It was an appendicitis. Incident?
Yeah, I actually had to. It's been 2 weeks now, which seems like an eternity, but also like Groundhog Day. I had to go to the emergency room for an emergency appendectomy, which was super awesome. Let me just tell you, I came back like 4 ounces lighter, so I feel really good about that. Not really the best time to be, taking a quick visit to the emergency room or any hospital for that matter. So it was pretty crazy. Pretty crazy place to be, but I was really grateful that they at the hospital do not want any patients whatsoever that do not need to be there any longer. And from the time I walked into the emergency room to pre-op, surgery, post-op, and then literally 2 hours after my surgery, they pulled my IV bag and kicked me out. Wheeled me out in the wheelchair to the truck. Yeah, get out.
Yeah. Are you okay to drive? No? Okay, here are your keys. See ya.
You're good. Here's your stuff. Have fun. Yeah, so I mean, as crazy as that sounds, given the current situation, I was very, very grateful to just kind of be out of there. I mean, the medical staff is already super, super overwhelmed. So I was thankful to come home and do my recovery at home and, kind of take care of business here in the
right.
It's kind of an interesting recovery, isn't it? I've had mine removed as well, and it's just that little bitty cut.
Oh, Charles had a crazy random. We'll talk about that in a second, but I'm going to backtrack because I forgot to introduce you in your entirety. Because you've done so much stuff, but nobody knows about all the. They know you from some things and some. I think most people know you from All Girls Garage.
We need the whole back history.
And I'm going to say that I'm going to guess. We're just going to throw out. I would say most people probably know you from All Girls Garage. Behind that, SEMA. Following that, Bear Jackson, SEMA. Maybe Bear Jackson, then SEMA. Next in line, I would say all the rest of the people know you probably because you were a dancer for the Detroit Pistons.
Definitely not that one, but I
what?
Like it.
And Monster Jam, right? Monster Jam and Supercross.
Monster Jam, Supercross, X Games, Super Jam. Is that a thing? Space Jam?
Space Jam.
No, that's a good movie, though.
Garage Squad.
Garage Squad. Oh, see.
Well, that's current. We're not even got there yet. Current. Okay.
Off-road truck racing.
Yeah, I did off-road truck racing.
AMA?
You've really been stalking me.
And your own racing, right? Racing motorcycles.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, like I'm like a multi-time race champion of something for sure.
Something, sure.
So we'll get back to that in a second. But Charles became very ill one day at Classic Car Studio on the weekend. So cold, in fact, he couldn't stop shivering. So what happened, Charles?
Well, it was weird. It wasn't my appendix. I have a weird appendix story too. So where do you want to start? You want to tell that one first?
I don't know. We can start wherever.
I'll tell you my appendix story first.
We're not talking about, just so you know, we don't talk about anything car related. Oh my.
You're high class. Look at us.
I don't know if you know. Most people do.
Now I can listen.
Okay.
Not only was I also a dancer for the Pistons, but I'm also sponsored by Bang Candy Apple Crisp. They sell this crack at Quick Trip.
Right.
You shouldn't go in a place like Quick Trip right now, but I will with a mask on and gloves to buy this energy drink.
I was first offended when he asked me if I wanted a Bang, and I said, "No, that's okay." But then when I tried it, then I was okay with it. So.
And then you remembered he's asked you a couple times before, so it's not weird.
Yeah.
The first time was
that's
in
when
a
all the
hotel room
memories
at
came
nighttime.
flooding
I'm like,
back in.
Go back in your bed.
Yeah. We shared a lot of hotel rooms, but they were double bed. There was two.
Right.
So then when
No judgment.
when the Bang is too much, to get off the Bang, you got to drink a little Natty Light.
Brings you back down where you need to be.
Right. It's a gradual decline from the Bang.
And just
okay, cheers.
Yeah, cheers. We're not sponsored by Natty Light, nor would we ever accept a sponsorship from them because this is terrible beer. But I'm thirsty.
But it kills the corona.
I'm glad that my beer selection is superior to yours.
It's
and
so
I'm
much.
sorry
Yeah.
that you're saying that.
It's
No
like,
offense, Tim.
It's like carbonated water that's been contaminated with something. Natty Light.
A sprinkle of hops and maybe like some dust from barley or something.
Yeah.
When they rinse out all the other vats with Budweiser and Bud Light, this is what's left. That's it.
Is that how they make Natty Light?
It is.
It's like the backwash.
It's the rinse
from
water.
The Budweiser
It's the
barrel.
rinse water.
It's probably hard to make because it's relatively flavorless. And I mean, to make something that's flavorless, it's hard. I mean, with cooking or making this garbage. I mean, delicious. Sorry, Tim.
That's why most people buy it in a 30.
Tim is not. We're not. But Tim has sponsored us with beer as the producer of this podcast.
It helps with beard growth. Look at this beard. If you didn't have that, if you didn't drink Natural Light, you wouldn't have a beard like that.
It adds to the beard sheen.
It
I've
does.
read that somewhere.
It does.
For sure.
Makes you more manly, he says.
Yeah, definitely.
Sometimes when the beard dries up in there, then he'll just rehydrate his beard and the drippings become like
Natural Light again.
the off run from Natural Light again.
Could you like sell that? Could you become a purveyor of beard drippings? On,
It's
like,
a
Amazon or
delicate.
something?
It's a delicate. It's like cooking with duck fat. I mean, just schmaltz. I mean, this kind of stuff. These are
Oh
these.
my god, beard dripping fries. There you go.
Yes.
Like
What do you think, Tim?
Let's do it.
All right.
Wolfgang Puck, call him. Yeah, new restaurant menu item.
All right. So, you recently posted, I believe it was over the weekend, that you have quit All Girls Garage. You said, "I'm done with these people. I can't." No, you didn't say that. All right. But so you're not doing All Girls Garage anymore. Your post sounded very nice, by the way. I wanted to turn it.
Well, thank you. I really wanted to say, like, I hate all these people. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, it was seriously, like, all jokes aside, it was a bittersweet decision because, I mean, of course I made that decision, well before the world started to end or whatever's happening right now.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, like last year, 2019 was just totally crazy for me. And I hosted 3 shows. I did All Girls Garage Squad and Barrett Jackson for Motor Trend. I had a million other projects. I was on the road constantly, flying all over the place. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, we went to Saudi Arabia at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And that was my last trip of the year. And that was the end of November. And then it was like, oh, wow. I'm like, now I finally get to chill out for a little bit. And it's like, wow, I get to chill out for like 4 weeks. And then it like all starts over again.
Yeah.
So I just had to reevaluate and say, you know what, I got to cut back a lot. So, I mean, I cut back a lot and something had to give. And unfortunately, All Girls is what had to give. I mean, I had 8 great seasons, so 8 years with the show, which is huge. Yeah. I love the production company. I love all the people I work with. I love the girls. So it's in no way, shape, or form leaving on like a sour note. Needed to make some change and make 2020 different. I mean, I wanted a little more time home. This is kind of a bit extreme.
I wasn't asking for, Lord, I wasn't asking for this much. But you have
just like a little time home, not like being stuck home.
I know. Yeah.
So that being said, do you guys have any kind of dates set when you will start filming again with any of your other shows?
For Garage Squad?
Yeah, for Garage Squad.
I mean, like, I hate to say like what everybody else is saying right now, but everything's literally up in the air right now. Yeah. So, I mean, we were slated to start shooting next week, honestly.
Right.
Like, we were going to start season 7 production next week. And, I mean, not to mention that there's, all these impositions by the governors of each state, both the state of Illinois and I live in the state of Michigan, of, shelter in place, stay home, don't go out, unnecessary travel. So there's that. But, we're supposed to be in small groups and not working in big groups. We've got a crew of 20 people. We're going to someone else's home. We're working on their car in their garage with their family members. And, we don't know how the car owners are going to feel about having a crew of people show up at their house right now with the current circumstances. So I hate to say, like, I think the dust has just got to settle a little bit before we make any movement. But, I mean, that's just the reality of what we're looking at right now.
Right.
Because everything you just described violates everything that you're supposed to do. You're in violation of all. We're gonna. All right. So how do you feel about us showing up to your house with 20 people?
And you do a lot of guest appearances too at car shows, and all those are like shut down right now too. So
yeah, pretty much. And all up in people's space, like people putting their arm around me and like leaning their head on my shoulder and like taking photos, and it's just like. I mean, I don't want to sound like totally insensitive to the current state. I'm not like a big germaphobe, and I'm the kind of person that like, you know what? Hey, if I'm going to contract something like COVID-19, like bring it on, I can't do anything about it except be as proactive as I can. But I know a lot of other people, and I'm empathetic to that, they're afraid. They're very fearful right now. And especially people that can be more higher prone to contract the disease and, have maybe a higher mortality rate than someone healthy like myself may. So I'm very understanding of that. So it's just right now, I think everybody has to just be super sensitive to everyone's feelings about the current state and just really try to understand and put yourself in someone else's position of like, hey, I'm not personally afraid, but I could be asymptomatic and contract it and give it to someone else who may be terrified. So just being sensitive to that that's really all. I mean, I don't know. That's really all we can do, right?
That and remodel your bathroom.
Yeah.
It is going to be pretty interesting to see what happens when car shows do start up again, sporting events start up again, like how many people are going to show up, or how many people are going to kind of stay back a little bit because they are worried.
What do you guys think? Like, isn't it such a crazy, it's such a crazy thought to think right now that like in a couple months, we're going to go back to these events with like 20,000 people. Yeah. And like everything's just going to be cool. Like it's just.
Is it though?
I don't know.
I think handshakes are gone. I think
we shake so many people's hands.
Yeah.
There's a hand. I don't know where it is for you, but like there's like a point where you show up at an event, talk to a bunch of people, like. They hey, how are you? Oh, in 1955, I owned this. They tell you their story.
They want to hold your hand.
They want to hold your hand and shake. So there's a point where I can shake. I don't know how many hands it is, but there's a point where it gets weird. I don't know what. It's like 50 hands, 100 hands.
That's a pretty good move. You like fold your fingers together. And
so what I do, I don't know if you can see this. There's called the forever embrace, and I go in for the shake. I don't overshake. I don't try to crush a hand. I try not to have sweaty palms. I don't want to do any of the things like I try not to have cold, sweaty palms. So my hand is always about, a few degrees lower than my body temperature. I shake the hand, but sometimes
you like warm them, you warm them up.
I get them going under my armpits like this, like Mary Catherine Gallagher on Saturday Night Live. I get them going, and I go anyway. But some people don't let go; they just want to hold on your hand. So what I'll do is I'll shrink my hand out in size like this, and I'll go like this, and I'll make this noise. And the noise, in combination with me pulling back my hand, no one likes that. And I get out of it. I get out of it. Yeah. I should have been like a wrestler.
The awkward handshake technique. I love it.
So I don't know. I don't know where the point is for you, but there's a point.
Do you have a slip out move that you've got from the hug, kind of?
I mean, first of all, like, honestly, when I do meet and greets, like, I literally shake every single person's hand.
Yeah,
like, that's truly a big thing for me. It's like making a moment to make like a formal introduction to this person that has been waiting in line to meet me. I'm like, why do you want to meet me? I'm just a person, but that's really special to that person in that moment. So I make sure to shake every single person's hand. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, after you stand there for 2 hours and shake a couple thousand hands, you kind of want to, like, you know, cut your hand off at the wrist and like maybe just, you know, drop it in a bucket of bleach forever. But like, again, not a germaphobe because I'm exposed to people all the time. But like now with this, I mean, I think handshaking is like, it's dead, like forever, for all eternity. Like, we're going to be elbow bumping for the next like 100 years.
I don't know if this is true or not, but I think it's, I don't know where I heard this. Hopefully it was a reputable source, but
oh boy.
Twitter, it's definitely.
Yeah. It was on, but the origin of the handshake was actually to see if someone had a weapon on them.
Interesting.
And like martial arts, like there's a lot of like, you know, there's like always like a hand reveal kind of thing that, you know, they'll do. So I'm like, that kind of makes sense. We're like, hey, we're going to spar, but I don't have a knife. I'm not going to stab you. So maybe the handshake should just go away because I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't.
What's going to replace it besides elbow or fist?
I would say like the point.
Yeah.
The hang 10. The
dab.
We
need to fully embrace the chest bumping.
The chest bumping.
Super awkward.
Oh no.
No,
not for me.
That puts your face like right. You know.
I think that would be the worst for me because I'm like 5'2", so I think I would have some regrettable chest bumps.
I think so, especially at a hot car show. Yeah, no.
It would be a fit. Yeah. That's right in the sweet.
At first I said no, but look at my complexion now.
Your face would land right in the sweet spot of the wife beater. So you've been. What was your kind of entry into the car world? I know I remember you telling me you got into motorcycles when you were like young, but was that it? Or was it cars when you were young and then motorcycles after that, or?
Well, my dad was a shop owner, so like, you know, cars were kind of like always a thing in my life. As much as I wish that I had spent like days and weeks and hours and months and years in my dad's shop wrenching with him, that was like totally not the deal. My dad tried so hard to keep me away from like cars and motorcycles. He even sold his dirt bike when I was little. I've got these great pictures when I was like little. And he used to take me around the yard. And I mean, I don't want to say vivid memories because I was pretty tiny, but like vague memories of, you know, he would rip around in the backyard with me sitting on the gas tank of the dirt bike for like, you know, 5 minutes. And then it's like, okay, honey, now like the adults are going to go really ride. Yeah. Take the 3-year-old off the bike. But yeah, I mean, he sold his dirt bike when I was like, I think 7 or 8, maybe 8 years old. And, you know, it's just like, I always like was really into that stuff, cars and bikes, and the kid across the street from me had like a little shifter cart, and it was, Dad, I want a shifter cart. My dad's like, hell no.
Nope.
But, you know, it didn't work. So
yeah.
He tried so hard to keep me away from that stuff, not because he didn't want me to be around it, but I think because he was a shop owner and a mechanic, and he didn't necessarily want to do that. He just happened to be good at it. So it was like a fail-safe career for him.
Right.
And I think he always like had bigger dreams and aspirations for me to like go into medical or, I don't know, do something like that. And that's, I kind of, you know, beat to my own drum. So that's not how I work. But yeah, I mean, growing up in Daytona too, bikes were everywhere.
Right.
I started getting more involved in the automotive industry when I moved to Detroit. Which is not why I moved to Detroit. That's another story. But yeah, I mean, like the car scene here in Detroit, Motor City, is pretty big. I started working in the auto show circuit. So that was kind of like my first intro to like really working in the car industry. And then I got the job hosting All Girls Garage. I was actually a narrator for Jeep at the Providence, Rhode Island Auto Show, which is like this big. Yeah. And some guy comes up to me and's like, hey, I'm an executive producer of something or other, and we're looking for a new female host. Are you into cars? And I'm like, sure you are, good sir. Here's my information. Never heard that one before.
Right.
And it was legit. So like 6 months later, I got a call, and it was like they flew me down to Florida to audition for All Girls.
Awesome.
And then here I am today.
So why did you go to Detroit in the first place?
Real estate, to flip houses.
Oh yeah? Do you still do that? You don't have time to do that now, do you?
No, the last time that the economy plummeted, not to sound negative, but just keeping it real.
Keeping it real.
In 2008 was when I had just moved to Detroit, like 3 years before that, and basically was running a real estate investment company, so flipping houses, for a lack of, less official verbiage or less official terms. But yeah, just like flipping houses in Detroit for money. And I mean, the economy just plummeted in 2008, and I mean, nobody could get loans.
Right.
Banks weren't doing any type of lending whatsoever. So all the properties I had that were, either in the transitional phase to be renovated or flipped became rental properties, and I became a landlord, which was super fun. And so I kind of just I hate to say it, but I kind of just walked away from all of that. And I haven't really done much of investing since then. But I've definitely done a lot of house remodeling and DIY. I mean, I kind of love that stuff. That's why I like cars too, because I like breaking things down and building them back up and putting things together and taking things apart. It's just, I don't know, it's interesting to me. So I think home renovation and remodeling and construction work is very similar to a lot of things that you can do in automotive. So they're kind of, to me, they're not too far drawn from each other.
The one thing I've noticed with that, though, it's like a faster result, and it's not as critical a lot of times to work on houses, and that's kind of nice in its own right, because when I work on a car, it's like the little details take forever. And, you can build a whole damn house in a matter of a couple of months compared to building a custom car. It could take years.
Yeah, people actually compare house building to car building, and I'm like, it's a little bit, or house building to new house construction to car restoration. It's a lot different, because it's a lot more efficient to build a new house than it is to build a
restoring an old house though. That's
same trick.
That's a big job. Trying to match trim and doors and all that. Yeah, that's tough.
It can be compared doing basic maintenance on a car versus doing basic renovating on a home.
Right.
I think are a little more comparable, but I couldn't agree with you guys more that when you're talking about doing high end restorations or full rotisserie restorations, nut and bolt builds on cars, and then talking about mudding drywall. I mean, and it's in no way, shape, or form to discredit the people that work in the construction and home renovation industry or general contractors or anybody by any means. But you can only go so wrong when you hang drywall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you're doing framework for houses, it's kind of there's basic rules and codes that you have to follow. Cars, every car is different. And I mean, anything can happen. And if you mess up one little thing in a car, it's like a waterfall effect.
Right.
So there's a lot more intricacies to building a car. I definitely agree with you on that.
I didn't get the book on rules and recommendations when I did my first remodel of my first house. And my wife about called the white van, to come pick me up and take me to the mental home, because I started mudding the walls, right? And I thought, I'm going to make them straight like a car. So I had this 3-foot long 2x4 with sandpaper on it and guide coat on my walls, and I'm block sanding all my walls. And it took me months to do one room and get it perfect. And my wife was like, what in the hell is going on? And my dad came over, and I had 5-gallon buckets of mud that were all empty. And he's like, where is all that mud? I go, it's on it's on these walls. And then I'm like, oh, okay. So it doesn't have to be quite that crazy. And the sad thing is, once you paint it with flat house paint, you can't see any imperfections anyway. So that was my first experience, and I pretty much gave up from there.
Drywall mud, drain compound is totally different than fill or Bondo.
Right.
Those are two very
totally different. Yeah.
Not the same at all.
I had halogen lights out, which I learned halogen lights are not your friend when you're working on houses, because you could see every little imperfection. So I kind of got rid of those, and now I'm much better.
And I will say, out of all the things, remodeling, specifically drywall mudding, is somewhat of an art and a technique. And I mean, I literally just wrapped up drywall in the bathroom yesterday. Kill me now. Because it's monotonous. I mean, it's you're putting up the drywall, you're joint taping it, you're mudding the joints, then you're sanding, and then you mud it again, and then you sand, and then I did like 4 different layers because I'm going from old drywall to new drywall, and I'm no pro by any means, and it is exhausting. Yeah. So there's major technique to it.
There is, yeah. You watch those guys that do it every day. It's like sickening how fast they are.
Oh, they're so fast.
It's crazy.
Oh, yeah. They take the trowel and it's just like, and it's perfect. Like me, I drag the trowel and I'm like, oh, that looks good. Let me just do it one more time. And then I just roast the whole thing. Make a mess out of it. Yeah. Yep.
I'm like, I can spread body filler. I can do this. Yeah. No.
I like to watch the guys stucco.
Yeah.
Like throw it up on they kind of. That's very satisfying. There's some of those things you're like, oh. You'll watch this all day long.
Right.
Stucco flinging.
Stucco flinging. It's a hell of a stucco flinger. It doesn't sound that good.
That should be like a contest, like with a reality show.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is somewhere.
Somebody's trying it.
Someone is. Yeah, maybe you can do that next. I'm not really sure.
This week on Discovery.
You missed the flipping houses reality TV shows by how many years? Maybe 5 years. You were ahead of your time.
Like, flipping houses on TV is like this fun, like cool, like weekend type thing. Like you just wake up one morning and you're like, oh, I'm gonna flip houses. This sounds like fun. And I'm like, oh no, it's not like that at all.
Right.
Like,
you're never gonna. It's kind of like cars. You don't find good. You're not like, oh wow, this is in a lot better shape than I thought it was going to be, or oh wow, I was pretty sure I was gonna have to do all new electric, and and there wasn't actually a water leak there, but no. It's It's worse than I think. There's never any like.
I think house flipping's kind of turned into almost like classic car flipping in a way, because people watch these shows and they're like, oh, I can buy this classic car and then I can sell it and make this money real easy. Well, there's like all these things that happen in between, right? Same thing with houses. Now it's like, I'm sure when you go to buy a foreclosure, there's 50 other people trying to buy the same damn foreclosure, and they're going to pay up for it, and it's like very competitive now because of TV. So I'm sure it's a lot more difficult these days than it was 10 or 15 years ago.
Even 15 years ago when I first started doing it, like, I mean, the investor scene was like, it's strong. Like, and this is no, like, I mean, and there's no offense to HGTV and what they do again, but like, there's no glitz and glams to this. Like, you're literally going to these like live auctions. People are doing cash payments. They're buying houses cash for 6 figures. Right. They're fronting all the money with their like number 2 general contractor who's like, attached at the hip to them, because they have all of these renos that they're funding cash for, like investment properties. Yeah. I say properties with an S. Nobody's making money flipping houses because they decide to like go on Zillow one day and like look for a property and be like, oh, look at this foreclosure. We could fix that up with some paint and cute flooring and it'll totally no. Right. That's not how you make money flipping houses. Right. You have a crap load of properties. You have a GC that's attached at your hip, and you're funding all of it cash.
Right. True.
Well, if you look on similar to unfinished car projects, I look for a lot of like real estate online. I just kind of like to go look through that stuff. There's always there's always a lot of unfinished house projects where you can tell they gutted it down to the studs and they stopped for whatever reason.
My favorite is the 2-story house where like the first level's all redone and then the upstairs is still shit. It's never been touched yet. And they're like, well, maybe if they walk into the first level, they're going to fall in love. And they'll go upstairs.
This is so nice. I don't even want to go upstairs. We'll take it.
Yeah. I'm sold. This kitchen's amazing.
Right. This kitchen. Wow.
But there's a hole in the bathroom floor.
Yeah.
Cristy Lee was here.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a little like, like I had like a slight pain in my other side where the appendix wasn't removed. When I came back from the emergency room, the day after, I gutted the entire bathroom.
Yeah. I'm
not gonna lie. And I came home and I'm standing there like it was like the first day, and I'm kind of like just like actually standing up and getting out of bed. Like I got a robe on. I'm like, my hair's all disheveled. I'm like post surgery, and I'm standing there looking in my bathroom, looking down into my basement because there's no subfloor, and I'm like, whoa, this sucks.
What have I done?
Oh no.
Like, oh no. God.
So
but it's come a long way since then.
So your appendicitis that happened, I mean, were you just not feeling well, or just a little bit of pain, or what?
Yeah, it's weird. I actually got like a text message from my appendix. It's like, hey, help me. Like, please get me out. No.
So what if This is a terrible what if, but maybe not. I think they have a pretty good hospital system there. But what if your appendicitis had come early, like when you're in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, I almost had that problem.
God, don't even.
I was like, seriously.
Don't even say that.
my appendicitis happened. I was 2 days away from going to the Dominican Republic for a vacation, and I'm like, I feel a weird pain. I just want to go to my doctor and just make sure everything's cool. So my doctor sends me over for a CAT scan right away. And I went back to work, and when I got back to work, they're like, hey, you got to go to the hospital again. I go, oh, man, they messed up that damn test. I got to redo it and drink that dye. Shit. So I get over there, and they're like, you're going in for surgery right now. Your appendix has to come out. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? I was working. I didn't even know. I just had a little bit of pain. No fever, no nausea, nothing. And I'm glad, though, that it happened here and not in the Dominican Republic, because that could have been ugly.
I'd rather have an appendix taken out in Saudi Arabia than the.
You would?
I mean,
For sure.
Oh yeah, they've got all the good doctors from the U.S. and
the Dominican. They're probably drinking as they're at the resort, like drinking with you, and they're just cut you open right there and take it out.
You know what happens when you drink at a
probably has like the camel come in and like help out with the appendix removal, right? So the camel everywhere now.
It hurts a lot. It hurts a lot more when you're going to the doctor on a camelback, but no, they've got a lot. They bring in all the most talented people in the world in Saudi Arabia. Yeah. So yeah, that'd probably be a good hospital to be in. I don't know, not the DR.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I wouldn't want to find out like anywhere but close to home.
Right. Yeah.
No offense to any other hospitals. So funny story about the appendix. I've actually had a flare up before.
Oh yeah.
So about like 4 years ago, I'm sitting on an airplane flying from Tampa to Atlanta. And, like, the plane gets ready to take off, and I'm like, oh, man, like, my stomach is hurting. So as soon as the seatbelt sign goes off, I go to the bathroom. I'm like, man, I feel like I'm going to throw up. Sure enough, all over the bathroom, just like the Exorcist. Like, bleh. And then I'm like, I swing the door open, and I look at the flight attendant. I'm like, I'm going to pass out. So, like, I just didn't want to pass out and die in the bathroom without someone knowing, because I might be in there for the duration of the flight. And so I basically spent the next, like, it's a quick flight. It's like 45 minutes. I spent the next 40 minutes on the flight. This is how bad it was. On the floor with my face on the toilet, holding my side, rolling around in pain because it was that bad. That's how bad it was.
Was there a doctor? No doctors on board?
Of an airplane.
Oh,
what?
No. So no doctors on board?
No, they wanted to do an emergency landing, and the only thing that I have that is worse than the appendix pain was this whole thing called stubborn. So I'm like, no, you're not landing the plane. Like, that's crazy.
We're almost there. We're almost there.
Yeah, like, no emergency landing. Like, what? They were going to go back to Tampa because we were closer at the time. So land in Atlanta. So, of course, then the medics come on the plane, and they want to, like, gurney you off on the thing. And I'm like, no, I will walk. Like, so stubborn. They had a wheelchair waiting for me. I mean, I am dying. This was the most severe internal pain I have ever experienced in my entire life. I described it as if someone was to have a spear and to spear me in the side. That's what it felt like.
And then it went away?
No, it didn't go away for like hours. So they took me in the meat wagon to the emergency room at Atlanta.
Meat wagon, is that? I thought that was the thing. I thought that's where you buy a hot dog when you get out of a concert. That's for the meat wagon. That's what I.
Not to be confused with the Weenie Mobile.
The Weenie Mobile.
So they put me in the ambulance, go to Grady Medical Center, and I mean, I'm a realist, right? So when a medical professional asks me, what is your, what's your pain on a scale of 1 to 10? To me, a 10 is my leg is severed and I'm looking at my severed leg. That's a 10, right?
Yeah.
So, like, when they ask me that, I answer honestly, and I tell them it's like a 5, which is pretty bad in my eyes, like a 5 or 6. Like, that's awful.
Right.
And they're like, oh, 5 or 6, you're totally fine. I should have told them 15.
Yeah.
Because they admit me in the emergency room, and they're like, okay, just have a seat in the waiting room area. God. Like, what do you mean, have a seat? Like, okay. So I sit down. The emergency room is packed. There are people everywhere. So I sit there for about 30 minutes, and I'm still in pain, but it's not as bad because it's been like 2 hours now. I go to the desk. They're like, it's going to be about 7 or 8 hours at minimum. So I made the decision at that point in time, if I was going to die, it wasn't going to be there.
Not in the emergency room?
So I actually called Delta. I got on a plane back to Detroit. So I rebooked a second flight to get back from Atlanta to Detroit. They hooked me up. Thank you, Delta. And flew all the way back home, drove home, then went to the emergency room by my house here in like my little town that looks like Pleasantville, and go in, and now I'm like in mild pain, kind of what you were describing, Charles, but not like extreme pain. And they're like, let's run some tests or whatever. And they do a CAT scan and all that. And then of course the doctor like flings the door open, like, great Scott, your appendix is about to burst. It's like, now it's an emergency.
Yeah.
So then they shipped me to a third hospital, and the surgeon wouldn't remove it because I did not have a fever anymore.
Really?
No kidding.
Well, yeah, because it had been like 48 hours now.
Be like, but it's an 11 on the pain scale.
Yeah.
It's an 11.
Turn it up to 11.
I'm going to use these numbers to my advantage.
I cut my leg off to make sure that the pain, to measure the pain, and it's still worse.
I think it's,
That was my test. So yeah, they wouldn't take it. So that was 4 years ago. So this time when I went in, like when I had a flare up like 2 weeks ago, I knew, like as soon as it started to hurt, I was like, shit, that's my appendix. Like this isn't good. And then I took my temperature, had a fever. I'm like, oh, why? Yeah.
Pain.
Go in the emergency room.
Yeah.
I even went to a hospital that does surgery, so I didn't have to take an ambulance ride.
Straight to the surgical center?
Right to the surgical center. And they're like, why did you come here? You live kind of far. I'm like, because if y'all are taking this, it's happening right now.
Yeah.
That's such a crazy like illness to have, though. Appendicitis can be deadly, and it's like people, you know, you don't even know you have it sometimes. The symptoms are so weird. You have people that die, you know, just because they think they have the flu or something, and it's actually they go septic and they die from it. So it's crazy.
I don't know. I don't. It's kind of like the stories you hear about people being pregnant. Like, I didn't know I was pregnant. Like, how? How could you?
Yeah.
Like, how does that happen?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't. I think that's called denial. Yeah.
Like the level of pain that I experienced with both of my flare-ups, basically when my appendix was inflamed,
was a 5.
I knew, like, that was like, oh, something's wrong. This isn't good. Like, this is painful. This is bad.
Right.
Like, it's not just like, oh, my tummy hurts. Well, you said like yours was bad, and then it wasn't, but they still took yours. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, they wouldn't take mine. I tried bartering with the surgeon.
Right.
I tried paying him. I even offered up like baseball tickets. He was like,
yeah, I already got those.
Yeah.
So have you ridden all those racetracks in the background? I keep looking at the racetracks. I'm like, ooh.
Oh yeah. Actually,
are these places you have been on a motorcycle?
They are, in fact. So we got Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, which is in Ohio.
I can only see half of that. All right.
Okay. New Jersey Motorsports Park, the Tail of the Dragon, Laguna Seca, Gingerman Raceway, Virginia International Raceway, Road America, and Barber. So yes, I've ridden or driven all of those.
Wow.
Lucky.
I've ridden and driven more, but they didn't have track maps for them.
So do you still do a sponsorship with Suzuki? No, Kawasaki?
Yeah, Kawasaki.
I mixed up.
Oh, sorry.
What is
we'll
this?
Cut that out.
Suzuki?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Terrible motorcycles, Suzuki.
Suzuki.
So do you get to go do all their track? What do you get to do? What awesome stuff comes along with that?
Like total shenanigans.
All the awesome press day stuff at.
No, I'm a good student. I take really good care of like my loaner cars and bikes.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not the person that like burns the rims off a car and then turns it back in.
Here you go.
Some people we know. I won't call out any names. Richard, I'm just kidding.
I could have guessed that one.
I generally take pretty good care of myself. So like the bikes and stuff, I have a dirt bike, a couple street bikes, a track bike, like a mini bike, and I just have fun, go do cool stuff with them. I'm clear to ride in like 2 days, so that's going to be happening very soon.
Straight to the dirt bike track, right to the whoops.
True story.
Like, oh, it hurts. It's still. Yeah. When I hit that triple, my side kind of hurt, but it was like a 5, which is everybody else's 10, so I kept riding.
That's what I should tell people, that I like cased the double.
Yeah.
And that's what I had that surgery for. Like I exploded an organ.
Right into the handlebars.
Like
ruptured my spleen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like appendicitis is so lame, right?
It
like
is,
I ended up in the hospital from that. Like bleh.
I'm afraid appendicitis is scary.
It is scary.
You're like,
I don't know. I haven't had any random emergency surgeries, so I'm trying to stay away from.
It's like this big though. Like it's the tiniest little useless organ ever.
You might as well just go ahead and take it out. Just go.
Can you? I don't know. Can you pay for that?
No.
Can you have an elective appendix?
I went through 48 hours of hell, and I was in the emergency room seeing a surgeon, and actually had conditions of appendicitis, and they still wouldn't take it.
Well, they're like extreme side pain, flu on Delta, but no fever. No fever. Here.
Does the extreme side pain come is with the Delta flight? Is that part of it?
Well, those are the three most common things you'll find. But you didn't have a fever, so
my son. We're going to talk about appendix a little more.
This is pretty much just a medical episode.
So Dr. Oz here. So when my son was 4, he was running a fever. We thought he had the flu. Took him. This went on for a couple of days, so we took him to the ER just to get him checked. They said he might have strep throat. They don't know, because he had a high fever. So this went on for day after day after day. And he kept getting worse, but never vomited or didn't have any pain anywhere. So on the 5th emergency room visit in a week, every day basically, the 5th one, I told the doctor, I'm not leaving the hospital until you do a CAT scan on this kid because there's something really wrong with him. You can tell he's just lethargic. He's got a bad fever. So they go, it's New Year's Eve. Everybody, none of the doctors wanted to be there. So they go back, they do the CAT scan. The doctor that was working with us never came back in the room, but a surgeon came in the room and he goes, hey, your son's appendix ruptured a few days ago.
What?
Yeah, probably 3 or 4 days ago. And he's got an abscess the size of a baseball. And he goes, if you would have taken him home tonight, he would have died. He goes, he was right there at the end. So then we were there for 7 days in the hospital so they could clear up the infection.
Yep.
And then a month later, they actually took his appendix out. So I was like, it's
because they couldn't get any worse.
Yeah.
So they had to get him healthy before the.
That's what I'm saying. It's a weird kind of thing. It's like some people have a pretty easy case where it's like, yeah, okay, it flared up. We're going to take it out. Other people get deathly ill or do die from it. They couldn't diagnose it with them. They did ultrasounds and all this stuff, never caught it. So it's strange.
Well, that's the thing. Because if it bursts or ruptures, then that's when it becomes more of an extreme situation. Right. And then I didn't even know that going into surgery with mine. They're your appendix is inflamed. Yeah. You're gonna have to have it removed, but we don't know if it's ruptured. So they didn't even try to figure that out. They just went in.
The interesting thing is when it ruptures, they say the pain goes away. So you feel better when it does rupture.
You're like, oh, thank God. Immediate death. Well, could you see me dying on screen?
I mean, I'm super, super grateful for all of the medical professionals that are busting ass right now and busted ass to take care of me 2 weeks ago too. They were just trying to keep their heads above water, seriously. But I'm not gonna lie, as I was laying there in the hospital bed waiting to go into surgery, I was supposed to go into surgery at 7:30, 8 a.m. the following morning, super early. And it was 11 o'clock. I hadn't seen a nurse in 2 hours and my IV bag was dry. And I'm just lying there and the pain was beginning to subside. And that's exactly what I'm thinking. Am I going to become septic now? Because I'm just my appendix ruptured and I'm just lying here with no fluids and attention or anything. And if I died, no one would know. You know what I mean?
You gotta hit that call button like crazy.
Right.
Well, then I push the call button and she's like, yep, what do you need? I'm like,
a surly one.
I'm still here. I'm still alive.
You got someone at the end of their 12-hour shift that's like, I'm eating a hamburger out at the desk. Please, just leave me.
And I think the stress level right now in these hospitals is just
man.
And I feel for those, all the healthcare professionals right now. I mean, they're up against something pretty serious, obviously.
The crazy thing, I went in the emergency room, and normally, when you're admitted to the ER, it's based on pain level or the severity of pain, and that's kind of how they admit you. So if someone comes in and they're like, something extreme, they're gonna bring you right back.
Right.
Well, not right now because COVID is life-threatening. So they have to take every case just as serious as every other case. So there were actually 2 people. I mean, I went in at midnight. there were actually 2 people in line in front of me in the emergency room, and they were both coming in because they had symptoms of COVID. And no offense to those people by any means, you know, maybe they had some deeper symptoms that weren't as apparent. But like the one lady that was in front of me was just like, yeah, I'm kind of just like coughing and I don't feel so great. I mean, and she had like, you know, just a really casual demeanor. I'm pacing, hunched over, holding my side, like, like screaming in pain. And she's just like, la-di-da.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I get it. The medical people are just like, they're just sick of people right now.
Oh, man. I'm sure. Yeah.
All the hypochondriacs are out for sure.
The message is, if you don't feel sick, don't go to the hospital.
You don't want to be there right now.
Don't. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-mm.
So
Totally.
I'm the non sequitur official. Is Motor Trend still doing Barrett Jackson? Should I not have asked that question?
Actually, they are not. So Motor Trend will no longer be airing the Barrett Jackson auctions. The Barrett people were like, peace, Motor Trend, and they went to a different network. So
a different network? Interesting.
Barrett Jackson will now be on a channel that sounds like history, but starts with an H. I can't contractually say it.
That's good. Huh. Interesting.
Just kidding. It's History Channel.
Huh.
So I don't know what happened there. That's above my pay grade. So whatever happened behind the scenes, it was, 5 years we did the broadcast for Barrett, which was super awesome. Got to see some badass cars, lots of people. So a little bittersweet on that one too. 2020 has been a weird year.
2020 has been a weird, So how many days do you I think you've told me before, but how much you travel like three weeks out of the year, or 3 weeks out of the month, or like how often you on the road?
Like, I think how many flights you went on last year? It was like some crazy number.
So I did almost 100 flights last year. The only non-domestic flight was my trip to Saudi.
Yeah.
Everything else was domestic. And then I did like about 10,000 miles. I had a loaner car that I used to drive back and forth between Detroit and Chicago for Garage Squad.
Yeah.
I put about 10,000 miles on that. So I split the trips to Chicago between driving and flying. So like half the time I flew, half the time I drove. So yeah, it was a pretty crazy year with travel. It was too much. Way too much.
It's a lot. It's crazy.
Yeah. And I mean, even before all this, pandemic stuff started happening, like I've still flown more times than I can count this year. Like I was flying a whole bunch in January and February, so it's not like I was just sitting around.
Right.
I mean, I flew just in the last 2 weeks of February alone. I went to Florida, Rhode Island, Georgia, Ohio. Like I went all over the place. And then all of a sudden I got back, and like no joke, 2 or 3 days later it was like pandemic.
Oh yeah.
And then everything just stopped.
When was the last time
we were supposed to go to we were going to go to Dallas, Good Guys, or Fort Worth.
We were all set to go to Dallas.
We were going to meet Shag down there and have a good time, and then
get banged.
Get banged.
Get banged, yeah. There and back.
Get banged in Dallas.
Yeah.
Ooh. It could be weird there.
Yeah.
Road trip.
Oh, champ.
Cowboy boots and a Speedo. No, we decided not to go because it was going to rain the whole weekend, and then what was
not because of the pandemic.
Well, funny.
We kept thinking they were going to cancel it, but no, we weren't there. Like psychologically, like people were still going out and doing stuff. But I think they got enough pressure from somewhere or somebody, or
like midway through the show though, like on Friday night, I think.
Yeah, so it started on Friday, and then they canceled the whole weekend, like Friday night. So they. I don't know. I think they got paranoid.
Yeah.
Optics didn't look that great, so they canceled that. So that was the last place we were supposed to go. But we did go to North Carolina in February.
And we were at Barrett in January.
Yeah. I actually went. I got so sick when I was at Barrett. I was like, I think I already had it. Yeah.
No, it's like, you got to drive the rental car.
I couldn't even drive.
You had the Rona?
I think so it started with a dry cough. I flew in a Delta flight, so I had
Definitely got the Rona.
Yeah, I started with a dry cough, and then I think we got there on Wednesday. We got there on Wednesday, felt great. Thursday started to feel weird. Thursday night, I had like a fever that was 103. But we had work to do, so I just popped a bunch of ibuprofen and started, just kept going. But I did not feel good. I was sick after that. Well, first of all, I kept going to the auction, which looking back now in the days of Corona, I'm like, wow, that's crazy that I would
you were near death.
I was near death. I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't drive. I was sweating.
Don't you love this car?
It was so bad. And then after that, I was sick for, I don't know.
The rest of the week when we got back.
The rest of the week when we got back. And then on a whole other week after that, it was like a good half a month of, I had never been that sick. So I don't know. Maybe I already had the Rona.
Maybe.
It could have been the coffee on the Delta flight because that stuff's pretty dangerous too.
I hear they keep the coffee in the wings next to all the fuel, and they never clean that container. They never clean that compartment out. So I don't know if that's true or not, but I heard someone told. That's not just Delta. I'm not throwing Delta under the bus, plane.
Under the plane.
Yeah, under the plane. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
I don't know. I have a buddy that repairs airplanes, and some of the materials they use to repair airplanes is very frightening. It's they use a lot of
tape,
airplane grade tape on everything, and I just try not to let that stuff saturate in my brain too long and just get it out because I fly so much.
Right.
It's just
you don't want to. I don't want to know what the maintenance people know.
His dream though, when he decides to walk away from the airline and quit, and I won't disclose his name or the airline, is he wants to get out there in a clown suit with an inflatable hammer and bang on the wing when the flights get ready to take off. Can you imagine the passengers on the plane freaking out? Just the airplane mechanic, no big deal.
No big deal. Last day.
Last day.
Be like, it's Friday, it's 3:30. There's a guy in a clown suit working on.
What if you're just wearing your mechanic outfit and you walk out there as everybody's boarding on the plane, and all of a sudden, all these bolts fall out of your pocket, you pick them up, and you look at the plane, and you just walk away?
You know what? The last plane we were on, the engine caught on fire.
It did. That's right.
It was the engine on the other side of the plane, so I wasn't really worried about
my side.
Yeah, the left side of the plane, people. I'm like, the right side of the plane, which I was sitting on, I wasn't that worried because it was just on the other. But yeah, the engine caught on fire, and they were like, we gotta have maintenance check this out. So,
were you in air?
No, thank God.
No, we were taxiing out to
I was on a plane that experienced what they call bird strike.
Yeah.
Really?
Which, when they say it over the PA, sounds kind of chill and passive. But when you think about it, it's pretty awful.
It's like a
so we're taking off. We're launching in Detroit, and you can hear this thud. And it was on the wing. I look back, what the hell is that? Silence, nothing. And then I don't know, about 5 minutes later, okay, crew, just want to let you know that we have experienced a bird strike and we'll be now landing shortly. And everyone's freaking out. Oh, I'm gonna miss my flight. I'm like, bird strike? The engine? Hello, let's land safely and then worry about your freaking flight. I'd like to live first.
Yeah, people
We land. We get down there, and apparently, one of those big old Canadian geese got lodged up in the propeller thing. This is terrible. All the airline crew guys were taking selfies with it. So the angle in the plane and even on the jet bridge, I couldn't actually see. You couldn't see in the propeller,
right?
But you could see all of them selfies. So that bird was all up in there.
Those damn Canadian. If one of those things took a shit, it would mess up one of those engines. Those things are
They thought the plane was coming for its baby. Isn't that when they get real?
They're crazy. Those things will be walking through shopping center.
Yeah.
There's always I don't know. I think they're protected in some way, but I believe they're an invasive species from Canada.
So we're talking about flying. We have to talk about our luxurious Saudi Arabian flight.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That was pretty
How
awesome.
many meals did you guys eat on one way?
On the way there, I ate as many as I ate from all the menus.
I did too. The worst was though. I woke up and I asked Noah. I'm like, I think I need to order breakfast. And it was like, I don't even know what time it was. And I asked the flight attendant. I'm like, I'm ready to order breakfast. And she's like, there is no breakfast. It's like lunchtime or dinner or whatever it is. I was so screwed up. I didn't know what the hell was going on at one point.
The menus were good. I think
it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the food was rad. I mean, I personally did not eat very much. I think it only actually I had one meal on the way there and then one meal on the way back. Like, I was not overindulging. I did, however, drink an obscene amount of water, and on the way back, the flight attendant cut me off. Like, she told me, she said, there's no more bottled water. I looked at her like,
there's
right.
no more bottled water.
There's no more water. I was like, you're lying.
I would like.
I mean, I probably had about 15 bottles or so. Like, it was bad.
What about the beer we had when we landed? Remember where were we at? I don't even remember.
Dulles or DC maybe?
I think DC.
DC.
Yeah.
DC.
That was nice.
Can you imagine how different that trip would have been
with alcohol?
With alcohol.
Oh.
If our desert adventure with those camels, if there would have been even if there would have been this delicious natural light there, or
30 of these and we ride a camel.
There could it would have been out of control, but no, there's a dry country, so there's alcohol there, but
one of us may have fallen off the edge of the earth.
Yeah, it was the edge of the.
Too many beers.
Yeah,
that was the edge of the earth. So that was awesome because we got in.
My favorite day of the whole trip.
I was like, we're not going to find. But we're like, we want to go to is it called the edge of the earth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Edge of the world?
Edge of the world.
Edge of the world.
Yeah.
That's what in Arabic it's also called edge of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just sounds the same no matter what language you're speaking. But yeah, we had our little Suburban, and the guy were like, we're going to go to he didn't know where it was either, so we just starts driving.
And he's from there. That's kind of weird. He's never been there before.
That's like if you're no one's a tourist in their own country. It's like, there's all these great things to do, but have you ever been here? No, I don't. I live there, but I've never been to that crazy. But yeah, he never been there, so we drove for 45 minutes in the middle of the desert.
A while.
Well,
right?
If you count the camel stop, it was a little longer.
Camel stop was 45 minutes.
So like that trip could have gone. There was really only two ways it could have gone. Right? It was either going to be super rad, awesome experience, which is what it was. So that's awesome, or it could have been like horrible and we could have all gotten lost or turned up dead in the desert or who knows.
Killed in that tent that we walked into.
Yeah.
That was a little weird when we stopped right there at the gate and they're yelling out the tent. I didn't know what they were saying, but they were like coffee. They were saying coffee, coffee.
Yeah.
And that's when we sent our driver up there to see if he got killed first, and then
he
came out.
You run on up there and see what's going on.
What?
Yeah, so we were driving along. We took a wrong turn, but the wrong turn was like we're just driving through the middle of the desert. Like, is it that way? We would have never found it without they were basically like Saudi park rangers, I guess.
Park rangers. That's probably the best way because they had like police uniforms on. Right. But I kind of feel like they were in charge of that tent/park. Maybe.
Tent.
No.
But I always tell people you have to remember it's not like a congregated park or like an official park, like national parks and recreation like we have in the States where you like pull into a park and there's a gate and a little guard shack and someone
pamphlets.
It's $5 for one vehicle.
Yeah.
Make sure your dogs are leashed up, and if you want to go canoeing, the dock's over there. No. Like it was literally a road and like a gate.
A gate to nowhere. It was a gate.
And a bedouin, which was like a rug tent, and that's it. Right. Like that's the park. So not to be confused with what our little first world country rural looking parks look like.
Right. It was cool though. So we we met the park rangers, and the park was closed that day, or the gate was closed. I guess you could have gotten in some other way, but we didn't see anybody else back there until some people seemed to get through at the end. I don't know. When we were leaving, there was another, but I would guess on another day it would have been busier. But yeah, they were like, okay, we'll take you in, we'll let you in. So they unlocked the gate, and then we got an escort.
And that was a far drive too. That was another like 20 minutes, probably,
just
at least
flying through the desert,
that was
right?
Way more than 20 minutes.
Was it?
That was that was a solid. It was seriously, think about it. It was like almost an hour from the time that we left that gate and we actually got to the destination. Like we were in that truck for a long time.
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
Those guys were
pretty fast.
And then they hung out with us too.
Yeah.
They didn't. Yeah, they became our buddies. So we hung out with them, and then got to see the edge of the world, which is like a cliff. It's like a Grand Canyon with it out in it's a canyon. It's just like a cliff to another level of desert.
No, it's a prehistoric ocean bed. So at one point in time,
thank you for the good description.
It was a huge body of water.
Yeah.
So it's literally like an old ocean bed from like thousands and thousands of years ago that's dried up. And like you stand on this cliff and look at what is an old ocean floor for miles. And like that's all we could see. I mean, that was honestly like, not only was that the coolest part of the entire trip for me at least, but I mean, think about what we got to experience, because at the time, like Riyadh isn't a big like tourism destination. I mean, they didn't even allow tourists into the country until like a year ago. So we got to experience it like in its most raw form.
Yeah.
You think about maybe in like 2 or 3 years, if we try to go back to the same destination, there's going to be like tour guides and like, you know, it's a tour bulletin and like, here's your tour package. You got, you know, a day at the edge of the world and then like, you know, sand grifting or like whatever.
Right.
And it's like, that's going to be the experience. We got to experience it like, you know, like real.
I wonder if they're going to have that show this year.
I don't know.
Have you heard anything about it yet? If
you think they'll do it again?
I mean, I think that they would definitely do it again. Like they were starting that whole thing to start something and not, I wouldn't think they would put all that time and money and effort to start this like international car show just to do like one, you know, one try at it. I mean, I definitely think they would do it again now with what's going on.
Maybe.
It's going to be a hard sell to get people to travel from all over the world anywhere right now.
Right.
Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I've been thinking about this the last like couple of weeks when things start to pick back up and get back to normal, like how I feel about flying. Like I've already had some, you know, some of the companies that I work with, and then of course like some of the car shows and stuff, and they're asking about like, what's your schedule like in July and August and September? And you're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't know how I feel about like hopping on an airplane right now. Like, I don't know what that looks like, or like how I feel about just like going to the airport and flying somewhere, you know?
Dirty. It all looks really, because I always, you know, you're always like, do they ever clean these planes? Who cleans these planes?
So.
You know, they don't clean the planes. I don't know if there's like a weekly cleaning, a monthly is there any cleaning? If you look hard enough on airplanes, you can always find some like nasty little like, you're like, oh, right where this tray full, this is like pretty dirty right here. You know,
it's like
the pocket, the seat pockets. Oh, what do you think's in the bottom of a seat pocket?
Treasures.
You call them treasures.
I don't know. You define treasures maybe in a different way than I do, but yeah, old peanuts.
Yeah, I don't know how I would feel about flying right now. I have, however, just shopped flights randomly over the past couple weeks, just like out of sheer curiosity. Like,
some good deals out there.
Oh yeah, the first class trip to Florida was like $300.
Yeah. Wow. What about cruises?
Yeah, I don't think those are happening right now.
Cruise ships gross me out. I've never been on a cruise because I'm not getting on that boat with all those people. It's too many people.
I've been on a cruise before. It wasn't really, I don't know, it didn't really work for me because you're kind of like trapped on the boat.
Yeah.
And I think my experience was less enjoyable because when you're on this boat, there's like, I don't know what, 3,000 people on there or something. It's a huge vessel. And I did one of those like Caribbean things. I don't know. I was really young. One of those like Caribbean things, and they like poured up at Cozumel or something.
Sure.
And some giant hurricane had came through like in the past, I don't know, decade. And because it's Cozumel, they hadn't, you know, got their shit together and rebuilt docks.
Yeah.
So they basically had like a tugboat or a dinghy, I guess you could say, in comparison to the giant cruise ship, like taking people from the cruise ship to the dock because the big docks weren't operating. Yeah. So the cruise ship couldn't actually dock and deboard people. So you had to get on this little tiny boat that fit maybe 100 people, and they'd take everybody like, you know, and the people go one by one. It's just like everybody goes to the island and then everybody comes back. Well, that took the whole day.
Right.
So we literally had like I'm not kidding. It was like 2 hours on the actual island, like for the excursion. So you get off the boat finally, and then you've got like an hour to go to Señor Frog's and slam a margarita. and then like get back in line to get back on the boat.
I'd rather just go to the little island and do everything there's possibly, go meet all the locals. That's what I want to go.
I think the only time it's fun on a cruise is if you've got a huge group of people. My cousin got married one time, and there was 90 of us that went on.
I could see that being a good time.
All my cousins were partying. Like, we were out all night on the cruise ship, and that was a good time, but a little different circumstances. I don't think I'd want to go with a small group and just try to.
Well, I mean, my group was like, I actually had like 10 or 15 people in my group. So we had a big group, but not in comparison to yours, but like, relatively large group of people. And even then, like one of like 2 or 3 of the guys had splurged for one of the like fancy rooms with the balcony and like the jacuzzi tub and all that. So we ended up spending like pretty much all the time we didn't spend at the bars or by the pool or anything. With the pool was basically like the DNA tub.
Yeah.
Where's that water coming from?
I don't know. The jacuzzis. It's just from the dirty jacuzzi tubs in the rooms. That's where they drain to.
Natural light.
That's
where natural light comes from. They drain that water into this too.
And add bubbles.
Yeah. And then like we spent all the time in like their room. So their room was trashed. I mean, just like totally trashed. I mean, we got in trouble for like throwing stuff off the balcony. Not me personally, because I'm not I'm not the most, stand-up human, but I'm not awful. Some of my friends, I can't say.
You're not going to throw a sun chair into the ocean? Yeah.
Yeah, some questionable things went off that balcony. But yeah, it's like, that's all you got to do. So you kind of ping pong ball from everything, right? You go to the bar, and then you go to the pool, and then you go back to the room, and then you go to the bar. And it's like, and then you go to dinner, and they have like waived seating at the big dinner thing based on your room number. So because our group had several rooms, because we had a lot of people, we couldn't even sit together at dinner. Because it's based on your room number. Right. So it's like, okay, rooms 500 through 600 go to dinner at this time. Sure. And it's just like, well, what the shit?
Yeah.
You're stopping our party.
Yeah, like I want to eat with my friends and get my lobster tail, because you get one.
One? No shrimp buffet?
Nope.
No shrimp buffet? No?
Not on mine.
No.
That thing would get, people would be taking those back to their room. No, you wouldn't do the shrimp
buffet on a Carnival cruise?
I don't think so.
I like the shrimp buffet. I just haven't been on a cruise. Yeah. I just don't want to be on there when dysentery breaks out. That's my fear.
Or when coronavirus breaks out.
Yeah.
Too soon?
No, I don't think so. When the captain tries to go honk the boat horn to wave to some buddies, and wrecks the boat. Yeah.
So wait, do you think the horn is like a beep beep horn, or is it like a?
I think it's.
Yeah, on my boat apparently it's a huge boat. There's a little beep. Yeah, like you accidentally hit it with you're talking to somebody, you hit it with your. Oh, sorry.
Got a Grant GT in that thing. Yeah. Push the button.
Like when you honk when you're at the bank drive-through and you honk your horn.
Like bicycle ones like that.
No, I think it's just a big pull. Maybe it's a digital button now. I don't know. Mine's got my boat is a small steering wheel. Yeah. Apparently the size of like an MG and a little
chain steering wheel.
It's a chain steering wheel, yeah.
These are important questions. You should be writing them down.
That's actually one of the questions I had for you. What kind of steering wheel would you have on your boat? What kind of steering wheel? So do you have anything? Do you have any new stuff you're working on that you want to promote? Any promotion stuff, or are you laying low?
Shameless plugs.
Shamelessly plug yourself.
Kind of been laying low. I mean, we're stuck home, so it's kind of like, what can you do? I've been an online shopping fiend lately.
Oh, yeah.
So that's like your means to get everything now.
Yeah.
So thank you, Amazon and UPS.
They're doing well.
I've just been working on this bathroom remodel. As soon as that gets done, I'm going to work on some major bike maintenance. I've got a lot of the bikes that need a lot of love, and some suspension work and just basic maintenance on them. So I'm going to tackle some stuff in the garage soon. I don't know. I think we're going to be home for a little bit longer. So
if you were going to throw something off the top deck of a cruise ship, what would be like your favorite thing to throw off?
Natty Light.
Natty Light.
Very terrible.
I think I'd want to throw maybe like a microwave or something. I don't know. A lawn chair would kind of flop around. Like I think it would catch too much.
Big splash.
I want a big splash.
A lawn chair is so expected.
What do you think the lawn chair loss is at sea?
I think it's pretty high.
What's the statistics on that? Like with lawn chairs,
we need to go on
a cruise ship.
We've been watching stats. Actually, Charles was glued to Worldometers for a couple of days. He's kind of gotten off of it, watching coronavirus stats. Yeah. It's crazy. So there's like bicycle production stats, coronavirus. There's a stat for everything. Malaria deaths caused by malaria, but I don't. They might have a items thrown off cruise ships. Is there a jail on a cruise ship? There's got to be.
There's got to be a jail.
A jail on a cruise ship? I don't know. See, I mean, I feel like when you're in open ocean, then you're governed by the laws of the cruise ship line. So that's why they're all like owned by like, you know, Swedish government and Switzerland and whatever.
Nowhere that nice. Yeah, you want somewhere with terrible human rights laws.
But then like
I mean, that's my sorry.
But then like when you go to the island, so like I went to Cozumel, I would feel like that would be governed by the country of Mexico.
Yes.
Well, wait, is Cozumel
Mexico.
part of Mexico?
Yep. It's a little island.
Yep.
It's an island on Mexico. Yeah. So like that would be Mexico rules.
Yep.
I don't know. Like I don't know what happens if you like really do something stupid.
If you're an asshole at sea.
I don't think anything really.
I think they tie a rope around your ankle and drag you behind the boat.
They just keep giving you shitty alcoholic drinks. So like,
throw
him in
give him some bad shrimp. He'll be in his room for the rest of the trip.
Let him keep swimming in that pool. He's probably gonna die anyway.
Right.
That pool is disgusting.
Yeah.
Dude, I think your cruise ship experience is based on how much money you spend. So like I went on a Carnival cruise and that's like the cheapest of cheap.
Yeah.
My room, when you move the curtains, the porthole was painted on the wall.
Oh yeah. Wow.
I was shoveling coal in the engine.
Yeah.
So disappointing.
Charles, you're down in steerage. Like if this thing sinks, they're not even going to let us out. Like on the Titanic, those people down.
Like you're going to die with the rats.
What's a good cruise line?
I think like Royal Caribbean, Princess. Those are all like higher end. I think. Where
there's actually water on the water slide, and you just don't get like a terrible burn on your ass.
Put some more sunscreen.
You're like, let's
do
it. You got to spill your watered down drink.
Right.
So these are important questions we need to ask before our next cruise
drink a natural light, and then you pour
what
some on the slide and you go.
What country governs the laws on your boat? Do you have a jail? Can I throw a microwave overboard?
Can I throw a microwave?
Right.
Do you have water on your water slide?
Right. The waterless water slides. I don't even know what this is.
One lobster tail. We need 2 lobster tails.
And how many lobster tails do I get to eat?
Yeah. How fresh are the shrimp on the shrimp buffet?
Right.
So I got lucky, even though my painted porthole room sucked. I got lucky because they've got the duty free store or whatever on the cruise ship, right? So you go down and you buy like your giant box of Marlboro Lights and like your like huge thing of Jack Daniels. Like, look what I bought duty free. Yeah. I mean, it's really not that much cheaper, but whatever. Right. So I went to the duty free store and like I said duty, and I mean the like line is long. They got boxes. They box your stuff up. Normally, you get your box out front of your door when you're leaving the ship the last day.
Right.
Well, they ran out of boxes, so literally the cashier was just like,
"Oh yeah,
take it. Like just go. Like here you go. Yeah. Just take the booze and go." And just like look around. Like here's 2 bottles of alcohol. Like okay, like put it in your bag real quick or like behind your shirt and just go.
That never
happens. I had 2 giant bottles of vodka that I didn't have to like pay cruise ship prices for. Like I just paid to buy a bottle of vodka.
That's where they get you. The alcohol is more expensive than the entire trip.
Oh, yeah.
One of my cousins on our trip, his bill was $1,300 at the end of the week or end of 3 days for his
3 days.
Yeah. Oh, he was drinking. He was like buying everybody drinks. He was out of control. It was a great time for us because $1,300.
How do you do that? The alcohol's not even that good.
The cruise was only $600, including the flight.
That was the joke. It was more than his cruise.
Oh my god. I don't know how you spend that much. I'm again grateful because I got 2. I don't want to say free. I bought the bottles, but like normal price bottles of liquor, and barely spent anything at the bar. It was great.
Plus, you got to walk around with a bottle of Jack, and they were like, "Where did you get that?" I don't know, but I don't abide by Nigerian law, which is
jail on here.
I don't fly under your Nigerian flag, which is what this cruise is governed by. So I'm going to do whatever I want. And I know you have microwaves. You don't have a jail, so get fucked.
Get fucked.
we know what's going on this cruise. I researched your cruise line, Royal Caribbean. Or is that a good one?
So
Carnival.
Like,
Carnival.
Nigeria has the loosest laws. Is that like?
I don't know. They have a lot of internet cafes with people trying to scam you out of money. So. Oh, my sister worked on a cruise line, and she was like telling me all these crazy stories. She's a musician, and
we need to talk to her next and see what was thrown overboard.
yeah, she was like,
"There's got to be a poll somewhere."
She's like, we were treated well because we were from the U.S. She's like, but she said the people that worked on the cruise ships they were from different countries, and they fly like a crazy foreign flag. What's the name of that made up country that they who is What's up, Tania? What no, Wakanda.
Wakanda.
Yeah.
I don't know who made up that. Someone made up the
name.
The name.
What's the one from South Park with the Zurichs and the
I don't know
that.
with Katie Couric. What country is that? I can't think of it right now.
I don't know that.
It's probably a neighboring country of Wakanda. Crazy looking flag, but that cruise was out of control. These people were mistreated. But there were a lot of microwaves. I don't know why you'd need those unless you planned on throwing them overboard.
Where would you get the microwave from, though? Like, would you have to pay somebody off in the kitchen to get a microwave?
I don't know. Are there microwaves in? I was picturing it like a extended stay suite.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's microwaves in your room. Like my room. Okay, again, I was on the ghetto cruise, so like my room basically
didn't have a window.
Like the toilet, I had no window. It was painted.
That's terrifying.
And then the bathroom, you open the bathroom door, and the sink and toilet were in the shower. It was all one thing, and you actually folded the toilet up when you wanted to shower.
That's
my
sink and toilet are in my shower unofficially as well. So I don't know. I think I'd fit in.
Toilet shower is perfect.
Great.
So there is this.
Cut back on time. 2 birds, 1 stone.
No, there is like someone put out this big survey, and it was like how many people are taking a shit in the shower, and it was way too high. This is not even it was a huge amount of people, and anyway, so I don't know why or how, but
I know how, but I don't want to know why.
I'm like, is it laziness? Is it convenience? I don't know, but it was like 26% of people.
What?
Yes.
That's a pretty high number.
We need a fact checker. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I think it was I was like, that's bad. Oof. So that's why I was saying these people would be in love with they'd be like, oh, all the stuff is already in the shower. I don't feel guilty anymore. The guilt is.
I did not do that. Truth. I didn't do it. It was like an either or, right? Toilet or shower. So like you fold the toilet up and then shower. I don't even know how you have room. Like you barely had room to sit on that thing. So like you'd have to like contort your body like while on the toilet to actually get the stream of water. So.
I'm not going on a cruise.
No, I don't think so. I'm done.
You have a great visual right now.
Yeah.
I want to do one of those Viking cruises that goes through like the little rivers in Europe. That sounds like fun to me. Cool. But everybody on there would be like 80, 75 to 80.
The Alaskan cruises.
Yeah.
My parents were going on a cruise in July.
How old are they? Are they in their 70s?
They are.
See?
Almost. My dad's not quite.
He's prime, awesome cruise taking age.
Yeah.
That's the kind of cruise I would go on, like a nerdy old people.
Overboard.
What's that?
They don't throw anything overboard.
Everybody goes to sleep at dinner's at 4:30. Right. Everybody's in bed by 7:30.
Yep.
Definitely don't use the you use your room key for all the alcohol. Like they definitely don't use that very much.
No. There's actually a shrimp buffet and microwaves, but they stay in the rooms.
They stay in the rooms. Yeah.
I could see my mom just like having a daiquiri in the morning. It's 11:30. I'll have a strawberry daiquiri. Oh, I'm such a bad girl.
Slow down. That's the only way to see Alaska. A strawberry daiquiri.
They've done an Alaskan cruise too. I had to have that like really kind of awkward, somber / questionable conversation with them like a week ago because they're supposed to go on this European cruise in July. And I'm like, okay, cruise ships, COVID, they're elderly, Europe, like, ugh. So it's kind of been the elephant in the room for the past couple weeks.
Yeah.
Because they went from like, we're in cruise ship mode, planning to like not talking about it at all. And I'm like, all right, fine. I'll bring it up. I'll be that person.
So,
how do you guys think that's going to go?
You're still going to go.
Your money back?
Isn't it funny how I think at some point you become the parent and the parents become the children? It's like
totally.
I don't like that point. I'm there, and I've been there before. I'm like, oh, what are we doing? Why am I lecturing
I'm
you
not
on
there.
this?
My parents are great still, but it could come at any time. You never know, right?
You never. What are you? There's a point. It'll creep. It'll creep on you, and then all of a sudden you're like, why am I giving you advice about this?
Yeah.
The tables turn.
Them. So I had to, and I'm like, my
scold
parents
him?
will probably listen to this too. So like, here we go.
Yeah.
But I had to like scold my dad a couple weeks ago because, this whole pandemic thing, you're supposed to stay inside. Now they live in Florida, and I mean, Florida has been little behind the times on what everybody else in the country is doing.
Right.
Like, come on, Florida, get
spring
together.
break had to happen. I don't. Yeah. I'm.
All
right. So let's pretend that Charles is your dad, and you're gonna scold him. All right, Charles.
Scold me.
Charles,
I'm going to Europe.
I don't care what you say.
I'm going. I'm spending all your inheritance too.
You can't tell me what to do.
I just did. I'm going and spending all your.
I'll do what I want. Slam the door, lock the room.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dad, listen, here's the thing. I had to call my dad in secret while my mom was out like on a walk.
Is Mom there?
So I could scold him in secrecy. So Dad, I gotta have a talk with you, okay? Because this whole pandemic thing is kind of scary. And
Hang on, I'm folding my clothes from my suitcase. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So, like, you're pretty old. By the way, just so you know, like, if I was having this conversation with my dad right now, he would definitely not be wearing a shirt.
Okay. Oh, yeah? Is he really tan all the time?
Because, like, when he's home, there's, like,
no shirt.
Does he have a gold chain with an anchor
every
on it?
hour.
You've been to Florida a
It's
lot.
caught in my chest.
Wait, do they live in Florida still? They live in Florida.
Of course they do.
You already said that. Okay.
Okay. All right. Sorry, we messed up.
No one wears a shirt in Central Florida.
No. Why?
Okay, so Dad, you have been like, kind of not paying attention and treating this pandemic thing responsibly. Have you been like going out? Have you been like out and about, Dad?
Yes.
Yes.
Every
Like,
day,
well,
all
what have
night
you been
long.
doing? Like, where have you been going?
Well, bingo, Golden Corral, hanging out with my
shirt off.
Hanging out with my friends. I had to get my chest hair waxed off because my gold chain was getting caught in my chest hair.
All right. I mean, I appreciate that, Dad, because you're like, chest is glistening now because of the lack of hair. So thank you. I can see my reflection through the phone. It's amazing. But I mean, this pandemic is pretty serious. I kind of feel like maybe you should stay inside and not go get your chest waxed.
Not going to happen. In fact, I'm still packing. I'm going to Europe right now. I mean, we're going to go earlier than expected. So.
Plane flies into Italy, lands in Italy.
We're going into Italy first. We wanted some good wine and food, so we're going there first.
Are you going to bring your mask with you? Are you going to wear your mask?
No, it kind of messes up my whole look, because when I have my shirt off, my gold chain's glistening, like the mask is like, it doesn't work, So, no, I'm not going to wear that. No mask.
Hard to get the mask on and off with the chain. I got it. Okay.
My daughter has me hardened, so like nothing can attack me anymore. Like I've heard it all. I've seen it all. And I'm fine.
All right, Dad, you're a lost cause. I mean, you're probably going to go to Italy and on this cruise, and you're probably going to get the corona, and then you're going to come back home and give it to everybody, and that's like really inconsiderate of you.
So are they still going on? They still going on the cruise?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have no idea. I mean,
you
I
gave
love
up.
them. I think they're like living on a dream right now. Like my mom, she's so cute. She's so positive. She's like, I'm still hoping it's going to happen because they've been planning this cruise for like 2 years.
Yeah.
I'm still hoping it's going to happen. Like I feel really good about it. She's like being really positive. I love it. And my dad, of course, all he is worried about now is getting his money back.
Right. He doesn't care. Cruise or no cruise. He just wants to see that. Just wants to see that little plus sign show up in the bank account or on the credit card.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, realistically, they're going in the end of July. It's really hard for me to believe that they're going to hop on a cruise ship with 2,000 other people and cruise all over Europe and stop in Ireland and England and Denmark, wherever the hell else they're going. You know what I mean? Like 2 months after this whole pandemic thing.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know. Optimism is, the key to life. It gets you by, right? So, maybe.
Someone's got to keep the economy going.
Exactly.
Either at So like any good parent or any parent, you just gave up at a certain point in the lecture. You're like, all right, I can't do anything here.
Do what you want.
I don't know.
No, I had this. Literally had to scold him. I was like, "What are you saying?" I'm like, "Dad, are you staying home? Like, are you going out?" He's like, "Oh, I'm just like, running a few errands or whatever." It's like, "Well, what do you mean running a few errands?" He's like, "Oh, well, I went to like Home Depot, and then I went to the post office, and then I had to stop by the church, and then I went and picked blueberries, and then I went here." I'm like, "What? There's a pandemic, and you're out picking blueberries? Like, no big deal at the farm with other people? Like, stay home. What are you thinking?"
It's Florida.
I think that's like a lot of men in that age bracket. They're just like, I don't know. I don't see it. I'm just gonna go out and I gotta do my things.
I know. My parents are retired.
Pandemic's not gonna hold me down.
They went to a parking lot to meet all their friends.
Yeah.
And they sat in their cars and they talked to each other in their cars. Like I'm like, they had to get out of the house just to go do something.
Yeah.
So they really did that. I'm like, okay, it's kind of creative. I'll give you that. But like, is it really that fun to sit in your car and talk to your friends?
Yeah.
I guess maybe.
That's for people who don't know how to use Zoom.
Right.
Yeah.
There's always late adapters to technology. They're gonna figure out Zoom when the pandemic's over and people are like, I fucking hate Zoom. If I ever have to get on Zoom again, that's okay. We're okay.
Well, it's just like FaceTiming your parents, right? Like, it's the same thing, trying to figure it out. Like, I don't know how many times I've FaceTimed them, and it's like now that's the only means of communication, and they're still trying to like, "Oh, can you see me on this FaceTime? Is this good?
Is this the microphone?
You can see me, right? Can you see? Oh, wait, no. Can you see me now? Oh, hold on. Let me." It's just like, we've done this 100 times. It literally is the same every time. You push the call button and you center your face on the little picture thingy that's on the screen. What are you doing?
It's great.
Every time. I haven't tried to Zoom with them yet. I think that might be a whole nother like explorative adventure with them.
Well, you get some more people on
You'll
that
never
call.
Get your bathroom remodel done if you go down that path. So.
No, I'm not an IT consultant. And I have stuff to do here. So, well, what do you think?
Has the time come to end it?
Has the time come to end our? You're out of beer.
Oh.
I couldn't bring myself to drink all the Natty Light, but it's warm at the bottom. So.
This is gone.
I was gone.
Tim's had 4. They're all over the ground.
Right.
If this camera wasn't such a piece of shit, you could see the mess. It looks like a recycling center back there, but that is okay, Tim. The bars are closed, but Tim's bar is not closed.
It's always open.
And just in case anybody's wondering, there's a piece of plexiglass that goes right down the middle of this table, so we are 5.5 feet apart, but we're separated by glass.
Socially distant.
I feel like a fish in a shitty aquarium that no one's cleaned. So finally, just kind of throw out where people can find you on social media, and I don't know.
Yeah, tell everybody.
You can find me.
Yeah.
1-900. No, I'm just kidding.
What? 1-900.
Call me. Live texting now.
Oh boy.
I've got a hole in my bathroom.
You've been at home. You've been at home for too long.
Let's keep going.
Want to see my bathroom
Let's
remodel? No, don't do that. Don't do that. Too far. Okay, shameless plug.
Just shamelessly.
At Cristy Lee 09 on Instagram and Twitter, and Cristy Lee Official on Facebook. I have been posting a ton of stuff on Instagram to keep my brain kind of active in the industry, because inside the walls you get a little stir crazy. I had to go on a drive just to kind of get out and see the sun, or open the door in the house. It's like
right.
Really,
so
she needed
bright.
more beer.
Beer run.
Find me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all the stuff.
Cool.
All right.
Well, thanks for coming on here with us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. That was awesome. I think we could have talked about the cruise industry, Delta, and
appendicitis.
Yeah, for 3 more hours,
Yeah.
but I think maybe people would fall off at a certain point. But yeah.
We have covered some incredibly important topics outside of the automotive industry. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we didn't talk about
refreshing,
anything
right?
automotive, do we?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, not really.
That's okay. Everybody needs a break from that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Cristy, thank you
but
so
now-
much. Yeah.
Now I need you need to find stats and polls on different things.
Oh.
So that's I'm holding you to that, Charles. You
Okay.
got to find the newest statistics on what everybody's doing now. I need to
I
know.
will. That'll be
Because I
the
read
next time.
something somewhere, or someone told me that there's a 40% increase in people being injured by using power tools because they're trying to do
Oh, yeah.
Yes, there is absolutely.
DIY stuff at
That's
home.
that's everybody's working at home.
I'm wondering like if there's going to be a whole rush of babies that are born 9 months from now. Too.
I think
I think so.
I don't know if
You
it's.
said that.
I think there's babies, divorces, and fingers cut off.
Fingers cut off. Yeah.
By people that were about to be divorced. They were like, "Fuck you, then." They were. Well, I thought you were one of the statistics when you were in the hospital right after the bathroom remodel, but.
I can operate a Sawzall better than that.
Apparently. Apparently your appendix just had enough of it, so.
I've got all 10 still.
Well, Cristy, thank you very much for coming on. We appreciate it. That was fun.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
One last cheers. It's great to see you guys and see your faces, and great to chat, of course.
All right. Thank you.
Later.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. All right, Tim. Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. It's so good to chat with you.
All right.
That was fun.
And just BS about random stuff. I love it.
It was good. Thanks, Cristy.
Thank you, guys.
All right,
bye.